The third chapter of today's teachings, yeah. Welcome to Rambam. We're in the book of purity. And therefore we deal with impurities. We're going to do chapter 6 today. The third of the three chapters. And the Vitame Mishkava Moishav. So we already explained that a Zav, a man who has an emission that is not, it's not semen, but something that is some sickly kind of emission. And others in that category, which is a Zava, a Nida, right? And a woman gives after childbirth. They impart impurity to an article on which one lies, sits, or rides. So remember, impurity is in times of the Holy Temple, that if you wanted to come to the Holy Temple, you have to come in purity, certain things that need to be done in a state of purity. And impurity doesn't mean that you are dirty. It just means the nature of this world is full of klipa, of negativity, and those negativities impact us. Spiritual in negativity we're talking about. I'm not talking about actions of people here, right? That's even makes it even worse, obviously. Just the nature of this world. So as a result, so someone is impure. If they touch someone, they make them impure, or something, right? If they carry them without touching, like on a beer, on a bit, right? Also make them impure. Now, what we're learning, if you lie, sit, or ride on something without touching it, right? You're not touching it, you're lying on it. I'm sitting now on a chair. Yes. Underneath it, I've got a second chair. I'm not touching it. So when you're impure, you're sitting on something. Obviously, what you're sitting, you're touching. Right. So that's not what the law means. But what's underneath it, you're not touching. Okay. These Rabbi? Are laws about that when you're... Sorry?
Rabbi? Sorry, yeah? I don't see Rambam on the screen.
I didn't share it. Sorry.
I don't think so.
I guess I didn't. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you. So that which is underneath, as we're going to learn the details of what this is now, also becomes impure, okay? So an article on which one lies and one which he sits are essentially the same. Why didn't the Torah mention them separately? Like Torah does, lying and sitting is the same idea, right? So if they're the same law, why did the Torah have to mean? To teach that although a seat is fit for sitting and a couch for lying, whether one sits on a couch or lies on a seat, he causes it to become impure. In other words, either way you use it, in other words, let's say I was lying on the chair. And the way you're supposed to use a chair is to sit, but I was lying on it. So the question would be, oh, a chair is for sitting. You didn't use it properly. Doesn't matter. That's why the Torah, no, stop using your logic. To you, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't mean that the parameter of the law, it might matter. Right? Follow?
No.
Because you're trying to use your logic now. It's not about your logic.
Well,
right?
I'm trying to understand it the best way.
No, because I know the way your brain works. You're trying to if the Torah only said when you sit down, right? So then when I lie down on a chair, since a chair is not made to lie down primarily, right? It's made to sit. Mm-hmm. So then the law would not apply, maybe.
Maybe.
It would be questionable, right?
Yeah.
It would be questionable. Let's say it wouldn't apply because it means a chair that's made for sitting. And if I lie on it, so then if you're impure and you lie on it, then you would not make something impure. You have to use it the way it's meant to be used. That's normal. We have that concept already in Torah, right? By the fact that the Torah mentions both of them, lying and sitting, which are redundant, is to tell us whether I'm sitting on something that's meant for lying and lying on something that's I'm meant for sitting. Either way, it becomes impure.
Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, actually, I was thinking whether you lie or you sit, you're still touching it. So both apply. That's all.
No, that's not the law here. If I'm touching it, then I don't need the law of sitting or lying because I'm touching it. So that's redundant. It means anything below it that I'm not touching is impure. But the question is if I were lying on this chair, right? I have two chairs here, right?
Mhm.
If I were lying here, right, would that make it impure? No, we don't know that. That would be a question. We only know it. That's why the Torah repeats and says something lying or sitting, even though the law is the same for both of them. So therefore, just say one of them. Because lying or sitting, meaning interchangeable. It doesn't have to be its main function, right? But that's only because the Torah is telling us that. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that. Logically, maybe I wouldn't say that. Logically, I would say only when do you make something impure when you use it in its functional form. Its functional form of a chair is to sit, not to lie. Right?
Mhm.
That's what Rambam is saying. Folks, is that clear to everybody? Tim? Yeah. Everybody else? Yeah? All right.
Are we still on one?
Yes.
Or mention so-
Okay, therefore, I will mention a surface on which one lies alone, and it should be understood that the same applies to the surface on which one sits. So lying or sitting is the same idea, right? Same law applies, and it doesn't matter if you sat or lied on it, right? What is meant by the surface one rides? Oh, so then why does the Torah tell us about riding? The surface on which one was riding, donkeys, a pack saddle, or a horse's saddlecloth rather.
Mhm.
Meaning,
I'm not the horse.
right? Yeah, that's the inclusion, the chiddush. You following? Nachamil, you're not with us, huh?
I'm looking for the person. Yeah.
No. So why do you have to say? Why do you have to say about riding? Because riding is, is a similar idea. You're on something. What's the difference if you're riding it, you're sitting on it, you're lying on it? The same idea, right? That's to come and tell us to include even riding means you're riding the animal. This is to come and include the pack saddle and the horse's saddle cloth, which is not the animal itself,
Mhm.
right? That's included in making it impure. Okay, number 2. Any article on which one lies or rides, to which a zav or the like imparted impurity becomes the primary source of impurity according to scriptural law. So right now I'm sitting on a chair. So the chair below me that I'm not touching, right, if I were impure as one of these 4, right, then I'm making the bottom chair a primary source of impurity. That's according to scriptural law, which means it imparts impurity to a person. So now if someone else came in, right, that was pure and touched the bottom chair over here, they would become impure themselves, right? Or I took my cup and touched it, it would become impure, which means what? Means I can't take it to the holy temple in that state to use it when I'm going for the festival. All right, it would have to go to the mikvah, right? We're not talking here. We're giving the parameter of what becomes impure in order that it needs to become pure, right? When you want to use it in a state of purity which would be like in the holidays when you're coming for the festival. Okay?
Otherwise,
But otherwise, I could drink it right now because being in a state of impurity, I don't need to be in a state of purity to say l'chaim and to have some coffee. Right? L'chaim. All right, that's clear?
wonderfully.
So the kelim and touching them by the person being carried by them or being carried. What is the difference between laws pertaining to an article and which one lies and which one rise? With regard to touching an article, with which one lies? If the person touches clothes and other kelim while he is still touching the impure article, he imparts impurity to them and makes them a primary derivative of impurity. One who touches the article and when one rides, by contrast, does not impart impurity to clothes and kelim, even when he touches them while touching the impure article. Say here.
It means everything is impure.
What temperature goes your clothes?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Unless we go to the temple.
And still the.
Unless we go to the temple.
So by lying, you make something a derivative, a primary derivative. But when you're riding, by contrast, clothes and vessels, they don't become an impure article. Nevertheless, one who carries either an article on which he lies or rides imparts impurity to clothes and to other kelim until he severs contact with the source of impurity. What is the source? It teaches a distinction between touching and carrying in regard to the impurity of an object and one who rides in one. Such distinction is made with regard to the impurity of an object which one lies. So it says in the verse, a man who touches his couch shall launder his clothes. With regard to the object of the rider, it says an object on which he will ride, anyone who touches anything that was beneath him and impure until evening. There's the latter instance is not said he must launder his garments. It teaches us he does not impart impurity to the garments when touching the source of impurity, and is written launder his garments, as applies equally to the one who carries the article on which he rides. So, okay.
I am laughing because for Rashi, if a woman is old woman, is only when her friends told her you are old and she's not offended.
Yeah.
If she said I'm not offended, she can say I am old.
Okay, folks, I see this is very lengthy over here, and there's details over here. I need a little more clarification, and I have to go in a couple of minutes. So I realize I'm not getting something here, the specifics over here properly. So I want to end off over here. My apologies. All right.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah, God bless.